Sienna.
And I'm Toast.
We're partners in love, life, and music, and we've been together since 2001.
With each episode of this podcast, our goal is to help our fellow LGBT community members lift their lives to the next level.
Were you dancing?
You saw me just now?
What is going on?
I was dancing from the torso up. I'm trying to make sure that my energy is up for the podcast.
Oh my God.
Like one of those things, like, you know, when you drive past the gas station or the used car place and they have that wind machine that's blowing up through the
giant
through that
Gumby.
funnel,
Yes.
through the tube of fabric.
And he's just
love
going,
those things.
whoop,
Yeah, I love those things, man. They just crack me up.
I know. Once you start looking at it,
Man,
you just
it's
can't
great.
take your eyes away.
It's brilliant. It's a brilliant invention.
Hi, everyone.
Hello,
This
welcome.
is Sienna.
And this is Toast.
And today we are talking about...
Relationships and pressing buttons. You know what we're talking about, like when somebody goes,
Hey, what happens if I press this button?
that button opens the gates of hell. That's what it feels like sometimes.
It does
it's like,
feel
it's
like that.
Whoa, I didn't know that button did that. What the heck?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And some buttons get pressed so much, they get stuck. You know how they get stuck inside,
yeah.
and then you try to press it even more so that you hope it pops back out.
Oh my gosh.
You know, sometimes it's like that.
We speak from experience.
We do. But before we go on to that, I really wanted to share some of the photos that we took from the tulip farm. Toast and I were fortunate to partake of the Tulip Festival. It's only during the springtime. I believe it's only for like 6 weeks, it might be. It's very, very short. And we got in right at the last few days of it. So I wanted to share some photos, so maybe we can post them on the blog.
Yeah, we'll pick some of the ones we think you'll enjoy the most, and we'll put them up on the show notes, which you can always find at siennaandtoast.com/podcast.
But it was like rainbow heaven, right? Rows and rows and rows.
Very gay flower farm.
It's just amazing. The day was beautiful. You will see in the pictures. One of the things that I was so happy about, because, okay, wait. It was like kind of hicky there, right?
Well, for, the city slicker people that we are, yeah, after having spent... Okay, here's the thing. Here's
city slickers.
Well, what's fascinating to me is like how adaptable human beings are. Because, I mean, hello, like I was raised on the big island of Hawaii, which is relatively rural compared to Los Angeles County, right? So I grew up, driving. There's Sienna with her coffee.
Sorry.
Oh, don't apologize. One must stay caffeinated.
It's just my wound.
But no, so I grew up, driving on streets without headlights or, just small two-lane roads. No big deal. That's just what everybody does, right? I wasn't afraid of that. But after having lived in Los Angeles County for over a decade, now when I go into a more rural area, which we did in order to get to the tulip farm, I can feel like this sense of vulnerability in me, which is fascinating.
I know. It's like, oh my God, where are we? Oh my God, we're going to turn down this road, and I don't know, how far in are we going to go? Because how long is it going to take to get out of here? And is it going to be lit by the time we get out of here?
And how long would AAA take to reach us here? But it was fine.
It was fine. And in fact, it was pretty great. I was very happy that they had a garden burger there
to take care of the city slickers.
I was very happy. I was actually surprised that they had garden burger there. But I have to say that where I was a little disappointed was in their gift shop.
Were you really
I was, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, look how fast. I mean, normally I like to hang out in the gift shop and look at everything. And
Yeah,
but
we
it
did just one lap and we're out of there.
Yeah,
in this
it
visit.
was.
Yeah.
And okay, granted, look at what they're pulling off. They are growing all of these tulips, like thousands of tulips out there. So they're busy doing that.
Yeah.
So it's okay about the gift shop, but
They don't need a stinking gift shop to
I
be.
would say no. They need a gift. No, you want a gift shop. No,
They're like
you
giving
want-
us the tulipage.
But the gift shop.
Tulips.
But okay, so the thing is that once when you just come from spending, a bunch of time amidst all these gorgeous tulips, you want the tulipage to continue when you go into the gift shop. And I felt like it wasn't tulipy enough.
They were doing more of the farm thing, right? Like they had.
Well, I don't.
They were doing like the pig salt and pepper shakers and the hen napkin holders and the.
Well, okay, but
That's what they were doing.
But why the wolf shirt? Why the purple wolf tee? Why the wolf hoodie? Are there
I
wolves
missed
traipsing
seeing
through the
that.
tulip field at night? It's like, why the wolf stuff?
Yeah.
I think if they just stuck with tulip goods, like tulip chocolates, tulip lollipops, maybe it's a tulip apron or a
Candles.
tulip scarf or a tulip candle holder or, that might be
I hear you.
better for
I
the
hear you.
experience, right?
I
Like,
hear you.
okay, I want to bring home something tulipy.
Yeah, really commit to the tulips.
Commit. That's exactly it.
But seriously, it was awesome.
It was
Like,
awesome.
The fields, and I kind of would want to go back when it's not the tail end of the season,
Right.
Yeah, so we can see like completely all the fields like full of tulips. Because when we went, it was about like half the fields were tulips, and the other halves were just stalks without tulips on them because they'd already been harvested. I guess, right?
I think so.
Anyway,
All right.
okay. So, on to the topic. Pressing relationship buttons. Now, here's what we believe about that and what the buttons really are. Like, we think there's something more mysterious and secret and cool about these buttons. We believe that when you choose to be in a relationship with somebody, you are unconsciously choosing a partner who is going to help you heal your wounds so that you can become the most and the best you that you can be.
Yep.
And so when you're experiencing button pushing happening, success, you chose a partner that could help
Yes.
you deal and confront your wounds in order for the purpose of healing them.
Right. Absolutely. And so I think, something I was thinking about when we were going to do this episode is, when you think of a button, don't you think a red button? Isn't that what pops up into your head when you think of a button?
I did.
I mean, I just suggested that, so now you're thinking of a red button.
I guess so.
But anyways, it might be pretty cool for the people who are kind of visual, is to just think of the button as a beautiful green button that when it gets pressed, it lights up and it says grow.
Ooh.
Because it really is about when you have the button pushed, it's a call to grow. And sometimes, you think, oh, I thought I dealt with that. Oh, gosh,
Right.
here's that thing coming back up again. Oh, my God, we're having the same argument.
Oh, my
the
God.
500th
Yes.
time.
Oh my God, guys. Yes. I cannot tell you how many times Sian and I have had the same.
Yeah. You really only have
damn
maybe about
arguments.
like 3 arguments, but just
Over.
a lot of times.
And over.
Yeah. But there's really only maybe
over.
like, 3 arguments you really keep having. But the good news is that hopefully you are accessing the next layer of the healing, the next layer of the growing. Because sometimes that's how healing happens. It happens in layers. And even though we want it just done already, right? Like rip the Band-Aid off, let's heal it, let it be done. It's not always like that. It can be like that, but it's not always like that. And so the perspective that we have is really just to bring some awareness to the table, something for you to consider the next time you have your buttons pushed. So, for instance, Toast and I, we've been together for 17 years now, and that's a long time. We have learned a lot, but we are absolutely still growing. Have things gotten better? Yes.
Thank God.
So much better. But, like, for instance, I think it was just maybe like 3 weeks ago, we had this argument, and it started with a button being pushed. And the button that was pushed for me was that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't do something good enough. That was my wound that I came to the table with, that started when I was 7 years old, maybe. I brought that wound to the relationship. And for Toast, why don't you share what the wound you brought, and then we can talk about what really happened.
I think my wound is similar in the sense that I feel like I was raised in an environment where excellence or being good enough looked like being militant is the word that Sienna and I use. Militant, like just it doesn't matter how you feel about something, you just have to do it. That's all that matters is action and how much you get done, right? How much you accomplish, how much you get checked off the list. Show me, right? Don't tell me, show me. And it's always like, okay, you did that, so what's the next thing?
Move on to the next
Move
thing.
on. Yep. Do more, right? That's I think the values that I just picked up just unconsciously,
And so for me, to talk a little bit more about the wound that I shared. So I was raised by my grandparents, and they really valued excellence in academics. Like they put so much value on that. And so if I brought home an A-, that was something to discuss and look at. Why was it an A-? Instead of celebrating the A. So I feel like the wounds that I have had to deal with, okay, if you are not perfect, also known as getting the A+, then it's not good enough. And if it is not good enough, you are not good enough. And so for example, so this is something that happened a few weeks ago. So Toast and I were working on a project, and I was in charge of doing a certain part of it, and I brought it to the table, and I actually felt pretty proud of myself. So I brought it to the table, gave it to her, and she looked it over and then just put the notes aside and then moved on to the next thing. And her face she's just intense. Don't you think you're intense?
I can get intense. I think I can get intense.
She's like intense. And then, so I perceived that as she was disappointed in what I brought to the table, my part of the work. And therefore, I felt like, she doesn't think I did a good enough job. So here I am having a button pushed, and I started to feel hurt. But really, Toast, after we discussed it,
after we had our fight,
after we discussed it, Toast was happy about what I brought to the table, and she was just, she wasn't going to take her time to go, oh, this is really great, which is what I wanted. I wanted to hear her say,
thank you,
wow.
maybe.
Great.
Like, maybe I should have said, like, thank you, this is great. I really appreciate
this. This is really good.
This helps move our project forward.
But instead, she brought her wound to the table, right, which is, okay, that's done. What's next? Move on. Let's go. Let's keep going. There's no room for emotion, whatever. Let's go. Mm-hmm. And I just read that intensity as disappointment that I didn't bring enough to the table.
So you see how,
my gosh,
it's a perfect storm, right?
Right.
It's like that's why we believe we really unconsciously choose a partner who will press our buttons. and make us aware of our unconscious, what do you call them? Biases, unconscious patterns.
Patterns, for sure.
That are not the healthiest choice. Because I know for me individually, through our relationship, I've realized like, wow, I really could use the celebration button. I could use more time for recognizing how far we have come, right? Looking back on our accomplishments and acknowledging them and praising them and being grateful and cultivating the emotional side of accomplishment, I guess, is
right. Because one of the things that, so when we talk about the fights, like maybe there's 3 fights a couple really has over and over and over again, just dressed differently. So one of the ones that Toast and I have, aside from this one, for me, the wound of not being good enough, and coupled with Toast's wound of the militants, is I'm here saying, we don't have enough fun.
Yep.
We need to have fun. And Toast,
how about a tulip farm? Let's do a tulip farm date.
Because for Toast, her idea of fun, and is it enough for you? Okay, so fun for her is work. She loves to work on the projects that we have together, and that to her is fun. And it is fun to me too, but I want more fun. I want fun that is not project-based.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, here's the truth though. Like, it is fun for me, and I know it's fun for you too, right?
I just said
work
that.
on. Yeah.
Did you hear it?
Yeah. Okay. Here's
Hello.
a button.
Yep. I don't feel heard. Seriously though, that's another one of my things.
That is,
I don't feel heard.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Anyways. Okay, you know what you're talking about?
Yeah, I know, right?
What were you saying? You were saying. Okay. Go.
Okay. So I think the reason that I get so fixated on like working basically, right? Being a workaholic is because of that wound of like, what's the next thing?
Yes.
What's the next thing? And
Yes.
when you get things done, when you check things off the list, then you can allow yourself to feel good.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay, I could feel good because I checked it off the list. And now I need my next hit of feel good, which means I need to do the next thing on the list.
Right.
Right. So that's not the healthiest thing.
And that
I
does set off a
recognize
loop, this adrenaline loop.
Yeah, the dopamine
Because
hit
did you
of
hear like you can be addicted to the adrenaline that's set off from, anyways, that's a whole other thing. But
I do realize that there is the appetite in me, like hunger in me for being able to enjoy an experience because it just makes me come alive.
And I think once you do it, I think you completely embrace it. I think you're very present when we start to do something fun. You're not like, oh, this is a waste of time. We shouldn't be. Even if you might have that perspective before we're actually doing it. I think once we've decided to do it, and maybe that's where that perspective or the wound, where that's helpful. Because we decided to do it, so we're following through.
And
right?
I'm going to do
so
it
you're
good,
not,
damn it.
You're not going to go, oh, this is wasting time. You're just like, we decided, so let's follow through and let's just do it. But once we're doing it, I feel like you're completely present. And you seem happy. Are you happy?
That's good. Yeah. And I do want more of that. I do.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's part of the motivation that helps me to continue working on projects because I know the success of those projects is what will allow more of the quote unquote just fun stuff, even though I enjoy all of it.
Yes.
Well, hopefully, you know what? Hopefully you guys listening, you can relate.
Yeah, share, if you're comfortable. I know this might be a little more on the private end of things, but if you are comfortable, we would love to hear about your buttons and what buttons also known as wounds. What wounds you think you're working on in this lifetime? We would love to hear that. You can comment on our Instagram or directly on our Sienna and Toast podcast page,
And
where we have the blog.
Yeah, and I think it's really helpful for
Other people,
to
see.
other people to just read and know about, to feel like, okay, yeah, I'm normal.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. But anyway, so
To wrap it up,
yeah,
so we thought it was important to share this because, number one, we want to hopefully help lesbian couples in relationships to feel freer, to not feel like they're walking on eggshells all the time, which is what Sienna and I felt like when we were going through a very, very, very rough patch. When the buttons were being pushed all the time and, we didn't know what the heck was going on. It was friggin' hell.
I know.
But we wanted...
It's so bad.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh.
But look, we made it. And
I know.
Now we have more perspective, and we wanted to give that perspective to others.
Right. Because truly, one of the things that I see, and of course, I don't know, I can't be inside someone's relationship, but just from being on the outside and just watching some of my friends in their relationships, I have felt that many of them ended prematurely. Everyone has the right to end their relationship and move on. But I have felt like maybe just too many buttons were pushed. And if there was room or awareness for this, having this perspective or cultivating it or even just testing it out, maybe some relationships would have had more of a chance. Because I do believe that you might end a relationship thinking it's purely because it's just not a good match, because buttons are pushed consistently. But if you end that relationship and you move on, because you still have your wounds, you will most likely find someone kind of similar to help you heal that. Because there is a certain type of energy about a partner that you need in order to help you heal those wounds that you come in with. So hopefully that will be inspiring maybe for some of the couples out there who might be dealing in a very real way with if their relationship is they're going to stick it out and heal, or if it's time to move on. Maybe bringing this perspective in might help.
Mm-hmm. And I think what you said about finding a partner who, hey, same relation or the same buttons get pushed again, even though it's a different partner. It's kind of the same thing as, look, Sienna, we're having the same argument again.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, well, stop the madness by dealing with it in a different way.
Yeah.
Right. So, and so that's number one, our hope is that sharing this will help to shed more light and awareness and a deeper perspective on when buttons are pushed, and that they might serve a greater purpose, right? For evolution, for growing, for becoming a better version, or at least the next version of yourself. Because that is super, super rewarding. The other hope that we have is that by evolving, right, by becoming the next version of yourself, that you can therefore be an example of a healthy human being, of a healthy relationship. And here's the exciting part to me, is that we as lesbians, we as LGBT people are in a very unique and I would say even privileged position, because when we get to live out a healthy relationship in front of other people, and I'm talking about just in front of your friends, in front of coworkers, in front of other family members, right? That speaks volumes to help society move forward, to help all of the human race move forward into a more equal, more accepting, higher view of what humanity is, right? It hopefully lifts everyone's eyes to look deeper and to see us not as, oh, this person's gay and all the baggage that may bring, but it lifts people's eyes to hopefully look and say, oh, that person is a spirit, basically. Not Casper, but it helps to see all of us as human beings. And I just think that's so invaluable. Like that's what's going to move and keep moving our society forward and make humanity succeed, basically, for the future generations.
And each of us can do something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And until then, though, slow but steady, I do feel like until then we will have things like Lesbian Visibility Day, which was something new to me.
Right.
That I think that was in April. Yeah, Lesbian Visibility Day. So the visibility is really important. It's healing for all. It's really healing for all. And, but something I did want to say about relationships and about if it's time to continue moving forward to heal your wounds and grow. I do also believe that, what Toast and I are sharing, I don't want to put this label that, it's not easy, but it is complex. Even if it's the same 3 arguments, and
it's exhausting because it's the same argument.
And it sounds so simplistic. Oh, it's just those 3 arguments. We just have to work on those 3 things. I mean, it really takes that commitment, the redeciding that you are choosing that relationship every day. We talked about decision, I think, in another podcast recently. It does take that. But at the same time, there are some relationships that come into, or some people that come into your life where you are meant to grow and expand in a certain way. And that's it. And then it's time to move on. For both parties, it's time to move on.
Right.
And to grow to the next level. So I do believe that, some relationships you're meant to heal certain wounds and grow to a degree, and then that's it for that relationship. And it's time for another one. So I just wanted to share that because it's not like everyone is like, you're with them and it's like happily ever after.
Right.
Take it to the very end, you know.
Right. But that's why it's so important.
I don't believe that.
Right. But that's why it is so important, why it keeps coming back to awareness.
Yep.
Right? And,
totally.
having the consciousness and prioritizing that awareness of, hey, what do you really feel intuitively is right? Whether other people might see that as a cop-out or not. You have to know yourself enough and to have confidence enough to move in that direction.
Exactly. Well said. Right. Well said. All right. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Until next time, this is Sienna.
And this is Toast, telling you to love life, live free.